So, we're going to look at a tale of two battles. One, so embarrassing, it was pretty much scrubbed from the history books. The other, it was so powerful, it was actually used to build an entire empire. Let's get into it.
All right, so let's dive right in. Our story kicks off on this really chaotic night back in 1788 with an army that's about to face its most, well, unexpected enemy yet, itself.
Okay, so picture this. It's the middle of the Austro-Turkish War. You've got this huge, multinational Austrian army. I mean, it's made up of Austrians, Czechs, Serbs, Croats, you name it, and they're on the march. They're looking for the Ottoman army, deep inside enemy territory.
So, what started as a simple argument over some booze, it spiraled into one of the weirdest incidents in all of military history. You've got these hussar scouts who find some schnapps, but they refuse to share it with the infantry guys who show up. A drunken fight breaks out, a shot gets fired, and in all the confusion, someone starts screaming Turci, Turci, which means the Turks, the Turks. Now, in the dark, the rest of the army, and remember, these guys speak a dozen different languages, they hear this and think they're under attack. So, they start shooting at each other. Total chaos.
10,000. That is the estimated number of casualties the Austrian army managed to inflict on itself in one night. It was a whole battle fought against shadows without a single enemy soldier in sight. Just incredible.
In the aftermath, it gets even more surreal. The actual Ottoman army shows up 2 days later, and what do they find? Thousands of dead and wounded Austrian soldiers. They just walk in and capture the city. No fight at all. This whole disaster was so humiliating, it was intentionally scrubbed, completely wiped from the official records for more than 40 years.
So, this incredibly embarrassing defeat just gets buried. But why? It brings up a really important question. How do we decide which stories from the past get remembered and which ones just disappear?
Well, the answer really comes down to the power of a good story. Or more specifically, how certain events from history are handpicked and then turned into these powerful political myths. Now, when we say political myth, it's not necessarily a lie, right? It's more of a story that's told for a reason. Its value isn't really about being 100% factually accurate. It's all about its power to bring people together, to give them a shared identity, and to get them to act.
Okay, so if the Battle of Karánsebes was a story that everyone wanted to forget, let's flip the script and look at a story that was deliberately pulled out of the history books for the sole purpose of building an empire.
And for this, we're jumping way, way back, almost 2,000 years, to the Battle of Teutoburg Forest. This is where a bunch of Germanic tribes, led by this chieftain named Arminius, set up an ambush and just completely wiped out 3 Roman legions. This was a huge deal. It basically stopped the Roman Empire from expanding any further into their territory.
The whole myth-making process really kicked off with a simple but super important change. See, the hero's original name was Arminius, which sounds pretty Latin. So fast forward to the 16th century, and the Protestant reformer Martin Luther gives him a brand new, much more German-sounding name, Hermann. This was really the first step in turning this ancient warrior into a modern national hero. For hundreds of years, the story of Hermann was kind of just a footnote in the history books. But that all changed in the 19th century, when a fractured and divided Germany was, desperately looking for a hero.
Think about it. In the early 1800s, there wasn't a country called Germany. It was just this patchwork of little states, and most of them were occupied by Napoleon's French Empire. So in this climate of division and being ruled by foreigners, this really powerful nationalist movement starts to bubble up. And German thinkers start drawing this direct line. The French are the new Romans, so we need a new Hermann to unite us and set us free.
And you had thinkers like Johann Gottlieb Fichte using Hermann's ancient victory as a straight-up call to arms. The message couldn't have been clearer. Look back at your history, get inspired by the warrior who beat a foreign empire, and come together to fight France just like your ancestors came together to fight Rome.
This idea was so powerful, it wasn't just going to stay in books. Oh no. After Germany finally unified in 1871, they made it permanent. They built this colossal monument, the Hermannsdenkmal, which was finished in 1875 to celebrate the nation's, mythical founder.
And check this out. This commemorative picture totally seals the deal. It creates this very clear visual link between the ancient past and the political present. You've got Arminius, the liberator of ancient Germania, right next to Kaiser Wilhelm I, the guy who unified modern Germany. The message is just staring you in the face. This new empire is the fulfillment of a destiny that started thousands of years ago. And just in case anyone missed the point, the monument's political purpose was spelled out crystal clear for everyone to see, right there on the hero's raised sword.
German unity is my strength, and my strength is Germany's power. I mean, you can't get much clearer than that. Hermann's victory wasn't just some old historical event anymore. It was now a timeless symbol of what a strong, unified Germany could do.
But here's where it gets really interesting. The myth was flexible. The enemy didn't always have to be France. That battle cry, against Rome, was cleverly reused by Chancellor Bismarck during his Kulturkampf, his culture struggle, against a totally different kind of Roman influence, the Roman Catholic Church.
And this political cartoon from 1875 just shows you how adaptable this myth really was. It's called The New Battle of Hermann, and it shows Chancellor Bismarck dressed up as the hero. But who's he fighting? Not a Roman general. It's the Pope. This just goes to show you that the myth could be pointed at any opponent, whether they were foreign or domestic, who was seen as a threat to the new German state.
So all of this brings us right back to where we started. Remember that drunken, forgotten battle? Why did one story get a giant statue while the other one just got erased?
I mean, when you put them side by side, the difference is just stark. The Battle of Teutoburg, that's a heroic story of unity and strength. Super useful if you're trying to build a nation. But the Battle of Karánsebes, that's a story of incompetence, of falling apart from the inside. That's a political liability. So one story gets a monument, and the other one gets swept under the rug.
And this really gets to the heart of it all, doesn't it? History isn't just a perfect, objective list of things that happened. It's really a collection of stories. And the stories that get remembered, the ones that get retold and turned into monuments, those are the ones that serve a purpose for us right now. They help us define who we are, and maybe more importantly, who we want to become.
So that kind of leaves us with a big question for our own time, right? What stories are being told and amplified today, and which ones are being quietly pushed aside or forgotten? And maybe the real question is, what kind of future are all of those stories trying to build?